Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you've ever so much as dipped a toe into the local real estate market, you already know it can feel, well, a bit like the absolute Wild West out there. It's a seriously high-stakes journey, and without the right map, your life savings are completely on the line. But don't worry, today we're clearing away all that confusion and handing you the exact map you need to navigate it safely.
So, here is our survival guide for today. We're going to quickly run through 5 things: the property scam epidemic, verifying before you buy, the document paper trail, following the money safely, and finally, the letWizard solution.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the property scam epidemic. Look, buying property is thrilling, right? Especially when you're looking at a red-hot market. But here's the thing, that excitement, it breeds some intense FOMO, or fear of missing out. And scammers, they literally weaponize this against you. They create this false sense of urgency and use the pressure of a rising market to make you rush. They really just want you acting on emotion instead of logic. Because, well, it's all fun and games until one wrong click puts your entire life savings at risk. Which brings us to the million-dollar question you have to ask yourself. How do you actually buy confidently without getting scammed? The absolute best antidote to these deceptive tactics isn't just, being naturally paranoid. It's relying on a simple, repeatable verification routine. Having a structured checklist that you stick to every single time, that is your ultimate shield. Which leads us perfectly into section 2, verify before you buy. Let's dive into this. Now, check out the stark difference here between a genuine listing and a fake one. Over on the left, a real listing is going to have a consistent address, crystal clear photos, and strict KYC verification. But on the right, the fakes usually rely on super vague, one-line descriptions, recycled stock photos, and suspiciously missing locations. It's honestly just low-effort bait. It's just scammers testing the waters to see which eager buyer is going to bite. Because of that, you absolutely have to slow down and follow these exactly 5 verification steps for every single transaction. Step 1, heavily scrutinize that listing profile for consistency. Step 2, verify the actual person behind the property, like demand their RERA or local licensing details right out of the gate. Step 3, match their verbal claims to actual physical documents. Step 4, cross-check everything on official government land record portals to move out of the guesswork and into documented proof. And Step 5, this is the ultimate deal breaker, folks. Protect your money at every single stage. If a seller tries to pull you off a secure platform to chat or pay privately, no way. Just walk away. Moving right along to section 3, the document paper trail. Okay, so this is where we actually bridge the gap between a seller's nice story and the cold, hard legal reality. Here is your absolute non-negotiable checklist: title deeds, past sale deeds, land records, sanctioned plans, and occupancy certificates. And hey, if a seller waves you off and casually mentions the paperwork is, under process, hit the brakes immediately and go consult a property lawyer. And that brings us to a golden rule of thumb for literally any buyer out there. Names, survey numbers, apartment numbers, and project names, they must match perfectly across every single record, no exceptions. If the name on the title deed is even slightly different from what's on the land record, actually, scratch that. If it's off by even one letter, you might be buying a property that's tied up in a legal dispute, or worse, already mortgaged to a bank by someone else entirely. Precision in these documents is absolutely crucial. All right, on to section 4, follow the money safely. So let's say we verified the listing and the documents. Great, but this stage right here is where the vast majority of high-loss scams actually go down. You need to be hyper-vigilant for those pre-launched deals that just magically have zero visible approvals. Watch out for sellers who constantly make excuses to not show you the documents. And definitely be skeptical of crazy deep discounts that don't match the market data. If it looks like the deal of the century, you're probably buying a bridge to nowhere. And the biggest, reddest flag of them all, requests for fast online transfers to personal, totally unrelated bank accounts. You need to set a hard boundary for yourself right now. If you hit more than one of these red flags in a conversation, it is a probable scam. It is not a rare bargain. Scammers totally bank on you ignoring these warning signs just because you think you're getting lucky. Stop, take a breath, and rethink the whole shebang. Finally, let's wrap things up with section 5, the letWizard solution.
So instead of doing all this heavy lifting manually in the dark, you can just use built-in Genie tools. It's basically a real estate cheat code. These features estimate property value, they compare renting versus buying, and they run the mortgage numbers based strictly on independent data, not on some seller's potentially inflated claims. It completely empowers you with a solid, data-backed valuation before you commit a single dollar. Talk about leveling the playing field, right? Next up, we have live bidding. By bringing owners, tenants, brokers, and even banks into one unified ecosystem, you get this incredibly structured digital environment for transparent price discovery and safe negotiation. So instead of relying on easily manipulated emails or super opaque phone calls or those sketchy messaging apps where scammers just absolutely thrive, this feature keeps all the pricing and offers locked inside a controlled, traceable ecosystem. You know exactly who you're negotiating with and exactly on what terms. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? Start your journey where the ecosystem is literally designed to protect you, not rush you. Using a transparent platform with verified digital workflows filters out those fraudulent patterns right from the jump. When a system demands actual, verifiable proof to even list a property, the scammers just pack up and move on to easier targets. Well, you now have the survival guide to navigate this wild landscape with total confidence. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to finally step out of the dark and into a transparent market? Demand rigorous verification, let your logic override that FOMO, and protect your financial safety at all costs. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.